Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
She has so much knowledge in the things that challenge us. I've learned so much from her. We're going to learn more today. She's just an amazing psychotherapist that offers a lot of insight, therapy, counseling for many of all ages. We center today on who are you? Now, we started last time we got together defining who are you? Like, seriously, ask that question. Do you have a definition of who you are? Maybe that definition is skewed because of other people. Have you lost yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And did that take place at the hands of somebody else? Maybe in a relationship, and all of a sudden you find your individuality has just disappeared. We're going to look at that today with her help and a lot of insight coming from her. Once again, Susie Engel back on the program. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Steve. How are you?
Loving these conversations. There's so many things that come up that is relatable for many of us, and certainly a fundamental question: who are you? Like, if you walked up to 100 people and said, "Tell me who you are. Who are you?"
Yeah.
You get all different answers, and I believe a lot of those answers would be what they want us to believe they are, or they'll center on their job. Oh, I'm a
Right.
auto mechanic or a bookkeeper, whatever it is. Yeah, okay, that's a part of you, but that's not who you are, right?
And it's interesting because we've had a few discussions throughout our times together. And what happens if we just said, I'm Susan Engel? You know, when somebody says, who are you?
Mm.
I'm Susie. I'm Susan Engel. I love being able to just say that and allow in a relationship to allow somebody to get to know me and allow myself to be me.
There was a skit. I'm trying to remember who did it on Saturday Night Live, where I can't think of who it was, but they would deliver the news of the day, and they would say, and I can't think of the actor. I'm so and so, and you're not. I always thought it's
Right,
like, it makes sense. You're not. There's only one of us.
right,
Um,
right, right,
hmm.
right, right.
I'm sure in your work, you talk to a lot of people that describe that they have essentially lost themselves.
Yes, and I like the direction of this discussion because and we began to talk about it last time. It could happen for many, many reasons. But I would say there's a difference between saying, or the nuance of saying, at the hands of somebody else. So let's just use a couple, a husband, wife, or
Sure.
friendships in middle school, high school, whatever this is, a dyad, a dynamic relationship.
Yep.
We don't want to say, I've lost myself at the hands of somebody else. For our purposes, we want to start understanding that we were unaware of how little by slowly we were losing ourselves. So a prime
Hmm.
example might be a couple. And if one person in the couple is hypercritical, constantly criticizing, or a parent child, or two good friends who are not the healthiest friends, and there's constant criticism or whatever. If somebody has a certain makeup, they're
Hmm.
going to react to the criticism by accommodating it and keep changing for the other person and keep adjusting for the other person who's critical. And that's the beginning of losing ourselves.
I I probably didn't phrase this properly in some regards because I've lost myself at the hands of this other person. Okay. Right away, you just pulled into the victim lane. It's their fault that I've lost. I don't. My individuality is gone because of this marriage. I don't even know who I am anymore. I'm just a slave. I'm an ATM machine.
Right. And that's,
Okay, okay,
yeah.
but you allowed it. I know that's harsh, and maybe
Maybe
I'm.
unconsciously you allowed it, and now you're becoming aware because the problem of having lost yourself is so broad and disturbing that you want to figure it out.
Is it, well, if you weren't aware of it, then I guess you can't take the victim mode that many of us do, or many of us addicted to suffering. I'm not being negative here or minimizing anybody's
Addicted to
situation.
suffering.
It's a thing, isn't it?
It's called being mindless and being, yes, it is a thing. I think people get used to it. There's addiction to
Yes.
chaos,
Yes.
suffering. There's addiction to being an abuser. There's an addiction to being abused. But all these things speak to something that goes on in our neurosystem
Yes.
where we defend ourselves so strongly that we turn a blind eye. And that's the unconscious. I'm unaware. I'm really unaware that
Mm.
I'm a people pleasing. I'm appeasing this critical love of my life
Yep.
instead of saying, excuse me, you know,
Yeah.
and
So
setting a boundary about it.
I guess it's, if you're not aware of it, where somebody else has, after a while, eroded your individuality, and
Yes.
whatever it may, however that may have happened. So I guess it's you couldn't have done something about it because you weren't aware of it.
Right, until you're in so much pain that you've lost yourself.
Right.
I mean, I like this conversation a lot because I love that you said you you didn't notice over the years that you were eroding because of an unhealthy dynamic, which means interactions between two people or
Yes.
interactions
Yeah.
between people. Dynamic, an unhealthy dynamic eroded me, corroded me.
Eroded and
I like,
corroded.
but I like that terminology because it eats away. And then we say, who am I? Who am I? What happened?
But I want to ask this question in right here. Is it your fault that you lost yourself? Now, short of abuse, if the other person is a narcissist, or there's something going on there, I'm going to put that over here. That's a different situation. But just in the throw of a relationship, 5, 10 years go by, you're in a marriage, and now you oh my gosh, who am I? I'm not the same person. I don't know who I am. I feel like a robot in this marriage, in my
Yeah,
life, and everything.
yeah. Is it your fault? That's
Is
what
it your
you asked.
fault? Yeah.
No,
Okay.
not until you do enough work to say, oh, I see. I developed this ability to be a people pleaser. I developed this strength in me to adjust to other people's criticisms of me. I've developed insecurity about me to appease other people,
Mm,
and it never satisfies, and and it served a purpose up until a point. And now, since I've lost myself, I'm more aware that I developed the ability to protect myself from the criticism. So this is the anatomy of it. If it's just this one thing, if it's just I became a people pleaser because of somebody else's hyper chronic criticism of me. It's so this is the
all right,
anatomy.
hold on, hold on.
And then we decide being a people pleaser is digging myself into a bigger hole of losing myself.
I have no degree and no experience, but I'm going to disagree with you.
Okay, go ahead.
Here we go, debate time. Um, the people pleasing example that you're giving, that person didn't become a people pleaser when they engaged in this relationship, and the other person in the relationship, caused them to be a people pleaser.
Mm,
No, they were a people pleaser from way back in the
way
day.
back. Oh, I
All,
agree.
okay, all right, we're on the
Yeah,
same page.
I
All of these
agree.
things that
Yeah.
caused you or enabled you to lose yourself, You already had that going on.
All
It-
of these things contributed to
yes.
losing yourself.
And the people pleasing thing, let's riff on that as our example. You're in a relationship with somebody, you're married, 5+ years go by, you've lost yourself. And part of that is because you just people please your partner because maybe their personality is maybe a little toxic and you're just, all right, well, I'll just
Yeah.
take care of that. But that was already in you.
Yes, I
Otherwise,
am full.
you would have stood
Yes,
up and said, all right, listen,
yes,
that's
yes.
that's not flying with me. Okay.
You're spot on. You're doing great.
All right. I just want to
Yeah,
make sure we're on the same
you
page.
got it.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
you've got it. And so the adaptation is just reinforcing more and more. And it also doesn't help the situation. And if somebody doesn't lose themselves, they feel they're 2 feet on the ground, they feel secure about themselves, and they say, this is not the quality of life that I've set out to live. But
Mm,
listen, when you ask the question, I don't mean to say listen, but here's the thing. When you ask the question, is it your fault? I would be so happy if people just deleted blame and fault from their vocabulary, at least temporarily, uh, to really work through this business. Because if we're going to, it's like circular to say, it is my fault, I'm a fool. I saw the red flags and I didn't do anything about it. I couldn't do anything about it. I wasn't aware. Now that I'm aware, I have all the decisions and choices at my fingertips. I
okay.
promise you, now that I'm conscious, I'm like, I got
It's a new day. But okay, so let's look at
it.
that. Let's look at that now. The red flags. You saw the red flags.
Yeah,
We all see them. It's
yeah,
and they're there. That come on.
right,
You either
right.
you didn't want to truly see them, or you wanted to believe something. But hold on, I see
Mhm.
you. You're jumping on because of other issues that or challenges you had that were already in you. Like for
Mhm.
example, somebody I don't know, you got to you think that somebody's going to cheat. You can't really fully trust them. A relationship goes on for years. They wind up cheating. They showed you that in the
For
very
sure.
beginning, but you
Yeah.
didn't act on it because let's say you had separation anxiety from childhood, fear of abandonment from childhood, blah, 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 all of that. You let it go because of things that were not dealt with from your childhood.
Well, and get this, from childhood, if you did not learn to trust yourself, you are going to play that out by not trusting people in relationships. And we can rationalize people say, well, how could we trust anybody? Look at society, look at the caliber of people, blah, blah, blah. That is not the truth. If we
Mm,
if we grow up in an atmosphere, and I think it's somewhat rare that we are brought up to trust ourselves,
mm,
even if we fail, even if we make mistakes, then we're not blaming ourselves for the rest of our lives and we're not looking at ourselves as losers. We're just moving forward for
mhm.
what we've learned from it. And we're still whole and restore, whole, then we can trust other people. But if we have the foundation of distrust, it plays out just the way you've described it. It happens to
Mm.
everybody. They get cheated on, they find a lover who isn't faithful. I mean, it's like there's a specialist, Roth Rosenberg, and he has this whole um, beautiful paradigm of human magnets, how predators can pick up on prey in human relationships. And I love how he teaches the world how to recover with self love. But it all, if we do not trust ourselves, we are attracted unconsciously to people who are not trustworthy.
Hmm.
If
And
we trust ourselves, we wouldn't go near anybody who's not trustworthy.
a
We don't
hundred
like
million
them.
percent.
They're like, yuck,
This
like,
is write it in the
yuck.
sky. This is it. This is it.
Yes.
You've
Yeah.
and I never
Yeah.
saw it that way until you said it. If we all learned from even childhood to fully trust ourselves, life would be amazingly different.
Ooh, we wouldn't be threatened. We wouldn't be reactive. We wouldn't lose ourselves because we're,
No.
and you brought up something before, and thank you for holding me back from interrupting you. But the way you phrased it is a lot of times people lose themselves because they're in this uh, familiar situation. I mean, today we're just talking really about people who are overly critical, or they could be narcissistic. We don't have to nix all that. They could be abusive. All these things are playing a part. But even if it's not to that extreme, the type of person who's going to lose themselves is also fear-based. Like, I'm afraid.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
afraid if I speak up, I'll lose him or I'll lose her. And
Yes.
then I'll be alone for the rest of
Yes.
my life, which is unrealistic. I mean,
But you
but
don't
that's fear.
if you're
It both
there
feels real.
from your childhood, that fear and that could even
It's
come
real.
from you're 7 years old and yet your best friend flat leaves you. Haven't said that in a long time on the playground. We're not friends anymore, and walks away. And
Yes.
talk about trauma. I'm alone. I don't have any, that was my only friend. Now they're gone, and now that's in you, and now you have a fear of others doing that. So now you're going to
Yes.
do whatever you can do
Yes.
and compromise yourself, i.e., eventually lose yourself to make sure that doesn't
Beautiful.
happen with the other person. But
Yeah.
back to the fundamental thing here is, and it's so true, and you said it, and it's just if you trust yourself, this
Right.
stuff wouldn't happen.
You won't be afraid. And also, let's think of what is adaptive, whether you're 7 years old or 70 years old. If you have a person in your life who processes this, I remember being like 3.5 years old, and there were two other girls in the neighborhood, very nice. We were friends, and then the rest were all boys, and they were so wonderful. The great neighborhood, right? But one day, the two girls, they were older than me, and they kind of broke off into the dyad. And I was 3.5, and my feelings were hurt. And I remember crying, and I remember my mother, she comforted me, but she said, "You'll see, they'll be your friends tomorrow."
Mm,
If I were 7 years old and that happened, and somebody said, yes, your best friend is saying I don't want to be friends with you anymore, but anymore might not be anymore, and you may be friends later today. If people just spoke like that, we would all recover in the moment.
but if you trusted yourself, you'd be like, well, if not as a child, that's tough. But later in life, but it comes from
Yes,
childhood. If somebody leaves you in adulthood, it's just like, yeah, ow, that hurt. Rip the band-aid off. That stung. All right, well, moving forward now, it's because you've got the best person in your life that will always take care of you better than anybody. They know you more than anybody, and that's you.
yes, absolutely. But if we lose ourselves,
Yeah,
then if we're in enough pain or misery or
totally.
confusion, then we come to these types of conversations that you and I are having today.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful. Then we find ourselves. Yeah,
But for
it's all
those
good.
looking, and it's a journey, but those looking for answers of how not to lose yourself or find yourself again, it's the trust thing. I really believe. Like once you have that full trust in yourself, like
Yeah.
I can pull that off. I can get over that. I can pilot through challenges in life. You're
I
going to
have
be
the capacity to tolerate this
yeah,
and not lose myself or not be broken by it.
yeah.
I mean, it's
Mm.
really a wonderful thing. This has been a very exciting conversation.
It's the truth, though. That's what I learned. That's what I learned over years. That's where and I've lost myself. I found myself.
Yes,
Yes, and I think that most of us have. Sometimes it takes 3/4 of your life to figure that out.
that's okay. That's not
That's
a
okay.
shaming thing.
Not at all.
But we can't say, is it your fault?
Yeah,
I'm telling you, this stuff is embedded. It's
yeah,
not conscious.
yeah.
When it becomes conscious, it's our responsibility.
Well, you reset me on that one because I look at others and haven't been there in that victim mode. Well, they did it to me. Okay, they did. However, you didn't know because you weren't fully aware because it's in your subconscious, childhood situations, fear, it's all fear
No,
of this, fear of that.
I'm not disagreeing with you about the victim stuff. I don't support that. I just wonder, why did these people become so strengthened in being a victim rather than saying this stuff is like I'm fed up with this,
Yeah, yeah.
instead of, no, they did this to me, and blaming them and it's because of them.
But you can't because you
Yeah,
have fear.
right,
And
right.
and that's that, until you get over the fear. And I don't know if you can really get over the fear fully unless you trust yourself,
Yeah, right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it
Oh,
sounds
yeah.
so simple, but
Well,
it's
and then there's a whole other issue about people being afraid to be afraid. That's a whole nother discussion.
Mm.
We don't have to
And
get.
and fear of ego, like if yeah, I'm good, man. I trust me. I am a good person. We don't want to say that because we don't want to be judged. Oh, look at the egotistical maniac over there.
Yeah,
No,
but we do want to say that.
we do.
People are so criticized for being confident.
I know, and that goes even
How
back to
crazy is that?
childhood.
That's like, phew,
I
yes,
know.
and childhood, like, don't disrespect me. I'm
Right.
the I'm the head of this household. It's just like, no,
Uh,
like, you have at it.
and
Be confident.
they're part of that gets into our subconscious.
Mm,
We're out of time. Great conversation. This is like it's so important
really
what we're talking about here.
so
Um,
important.
how do we your website? Let me make sure I have it.
You do it.
Susan Engel lcsw.com.
Perfect.
You're available to talk about this stuff, help somebody find themselves again, or maybe even for the first time. I don't know. That could be another
Yes.
discussion.
Well, people will think about this differently now. They'll
Uh,
find themselves. All they have to do is listen.
you don't know until you
Open
know.
up. Yeah, open
Uh,
up your perspective.
yes. And I didn't know until I know. I get it now.
I love it.
Always great talking with you. I appreciate
Thanks,
you. And
Steve.
we'll talk soon. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.